And we got 5 weeks to go. Another 5 weeks before we can get out there and hit a ball. I mean, the scores are back, which is great, and um, I think it's quite an exciting time that we're going to see some sport, aren't we? And spectators are going to be allowed. Although it's all coming back slowly. John Jameson, my number one. John Jameson could turn a match. And he would have been brilliant in T20 cricket. Not quite so sure about his fielding because he was always a big lad. But Tubb was a marvellous player of fast bowling. And I don't think we'll ever forget that. I think it was 80 runs off about 8 overs he hit Imran Khan for. I think Imran was playing for Sussex at the time, and he bowled length balls, and Tubb put his foot down the wicket and just kept hitting him over, smacking him for 6 over mid-wicket. So he could change a game. He didn't think spinners could bowl. So every time a spinner came in, he tried to hit him for 6 and got caught on the boundary once or twice. So he had to put people on the boundary. So Tubb was a marvellous player and exciting to watch. A great partner to be with because, if I was in trouble with the quicks, which sometimes I did get into trouble, he said, he threw his chest, let me come down there. I'll have those. And I mean, there was a little incident when we had about 3/4 of an hour to bat against Somerset at Edgbaston. We'd bowl them out. We'd done jolly well. And A.K. Jones came in and he grunted when he let it go. And he was grunting away, and Closey was at short square. He was captain of Somerset at the time. And every time he grunted, Tubb hit it for 6. And, I mean, we were 40 for no wicket in about 10 minutes. And Brian Close said, I think we better go off now. Otherwise, they're going to overtake our score shortly. Well, can I put myself there? Because we batted well together, and I think we played off one another quite a bit. If he scored 100, he'd have scored it before tea. And when I came in at tea, if I was still there, lucky enough to still be there, he'd had a shower, he'd rested, he'd had his tea and everything, and he said, "Come on, get on with it." And but 100 well before tea. So, but a marvellous, and he ran your singles because he wanted the bowling anyway. So he'd always run my quick singles. Wonderful. Yeah, we played well together. Yeah, we had some great understandings of when you've played together for a long time, and it was just if one of us made a mistake, I think we must have had 1 or 2 run-outs in between us, and there was one at Sheffield once when we had uncovered wickets, and it had rained over the weekend. We went back then after. Must have played a Sunday League match. Anyway, we went back on them on the Monday, and it was just absolutely soaked. But they were keen to get out there. Chris Old and Nicholson opened up the bowling, and Chris Old couldn't bowl one straight. He was slipping and sliding because the bowler's footholes were uncovered as well. And anyway, he's sliding, and Nicholson bowled the second over to me. I pushed it to cover. I said, "Come on," and Tubb, the non-striker, took off and fell straight on his face in the mud. And then Johnson, who was fielding the ball, fell over at cover trying to pick the ball up. Bairstow come running down the hill at Sheffield. We're playing at Bramall Lane, and his feet went straight from underneath him. But as he was going past on his backside, Johnson had picked up the ball and threw it, and he managed to catch it, Bairstow. And as he went past the stumps on his backside, he whipped the bails off, and I was still scrambling to get back. I said, "Oh, Tubb!" He couldn't get up. Tubb couldn't. Every time he tried to get up, he fell on his face. So it's up, and the crowd just couldn't believe it. I mean, I walked out, run out for naught, and the crowd were just laughing. They were in hysterics. It was the funniest sight they'd ever seen. All 4 of us had finished on the deck. Rowan Canai, number 3. Rowan was a great player, and we were lucky we saw the best of him. Marvellous player to bat with, and he'd take command. And on any wickets, he grew up on Lancashire League wickets. Well, he grew up in Guyana, but he came over and played in the Lancashire League quite a bit. So he got used to playing on wet wickets. So he could play on any wicket against any bowling. And we saw him get some marvellous hundreds against great attacks. And one on a greenish pitch, hard greenish pitch, was at Derby against Harold Rhodes and Brian Jackson, and it was just an outstanding 100 that he got. But we saw, many of those, and he changed the game. And He's one of the all-time West Indies greats, and we were lucky enough to play with him. Well, the wicket was made for Underwood because they'd obviously got problems with their fast bowlers, and it turned square from the word go, so it suited Underwood. And I think I was the first to get out. He was number 3. Tubb was probably at the other end, and I just said something to him about it's not easy, especially against Underwood, and he passed me and didn't say anything. And the first ball Underwood bowled, he straight back over his head for 6. It turned it square, but he played him just like Joe Root. He's playing the spinners in Sri Lanka and India. He played him mostly off the back foot. He only hit him off the front foot when it was right up there. He'd go back, and Underwood was quick, a quick spinner. Yeah, put on the ball. So that was not easy. I was more playing off the front foot, unless if it did pitch a little bit short, you'd obviously go back to it. But he got 100 against Underwood on that turning wicket. It was another one of the great innings that we saw him play many times while his time at Warwickshire. Alvin Kallicharran, left-hander. What a player he was. And a little story about him was that we were playing Worcester, and it was quite a lively wicket, and it was overcast, and the ball was doing a bit. And I think we lost a couple of wickets. He came in at 4, and Van Burn was charging in. And of course, he did against Rowan Canai and Alvin Kallicharran, the West Indies. They all tried jolly hard against one another, and he was charging in. And I said to Alvin, I said, look, he's probably got 1 or 2 overs to bowl. He's had 6 overs on the spell, and he's really given it everything. I think that we just see him off. So anyway, the first ball Van Burn bowled to Kelly was a bouncer. He's hooked it straight out the ground for 6, and then the next one he's pitched it at whack 4, another bouncer 6, and he took about 20 off the over, and he came down the wicket and he tapped the wicket. He said, "That's the other way to see them off, Dennis." I never thought of that way. You always think somebody's bowling well, see them off, but not the West Indian way, not Alvin's way. It was terrific, beautiful player, and play on any wicket against spinners or quicks, but a fantastic player who took the quicks on. I think in that World Cup in 1976, when that first match at the Oval, where Lilly bounced in first ball and he's hitting for 6 straight out the ground. I mean, that's what they did. They were just one player, great players, both of them great players. And my word, the West Indies, they had some great batsmen, Clive Lloyds and Desmond Haynes and Greenidges and Lawrence Rose that we played against, and obviously great fast bowling attacks as well. They ruled the world that probably a 10-year period. MJK, wonderful player. He get 3,000 runs one season, I think, in when we play a lot of county matches, but I think one of his greatest innings was that 180 in the 4 things when we won that match against Gloucestershire at was it Stroud, and it turned square, and they had 3 spinners. They had 3: Sam Cooke, David Allen, and John Mortimer, and he was a great player of the sweep. And I can remember playing at Liverpool with David Hughes bowling to him, and he kept sweeping him, and he's in him for 4. And Brian Statham was captain, and David Hughes turned to Brian and said, "What do I do?" And Brian bowled it wider. And I thought, oh dear. Brian Statham, I just thought, my gosh, you haven't seen much of MJK, so he bowled it wider. And of course, he hit it straighter over mid-wicket. His sweeps and his laps were square leg. Yeah, but once you bowled it out there, it went much straighter. He was a fantastic player, and a wonderful record. And I did enjoy playing under him as a captain. I mean, MJK would be prepared to lose a match to win one, and he used to set some great targets. But you've got to manipulate those targets as well. If you lose 1 or 2 quick wickets, you've got to put the spinners on, and then how long do you put them on for? When do you bring the quicks back, and can the quicks control it? And maybe not if somebody's going well. I mean, we did it against Hampshire at Edgbaston 2 years running, and Roy Marshall I mean, Roy was a West Indian, and my gosh, he threw the bat at it from the word go. And they said, well, what if Marshall gets going? And MJK said, well, if he gets going, fine. But if he gets out, you've got Henry Hort and Barry Reid, and they weren't dashers. They were they played the old fashioned. So anyway, he set them 60 an hour or something like that. Roy Marshall got 120. We walked off with 10 minutes to quarter of an hour spare. Yeah, they to say. Can you imagine the fast bowlers? Brown, Bannister, Cartwright. They didn't like that, being flogged to Marshall. And so anyway, the next year he did the same, but he said 65 runs an hour this time, make it harder. And of course, Marshall got out early on to Jack or Brownie or something, and then the others came in, and that it wasn't a game of cricket. But we had some really good games of cricket under his stewardship. He was a great manipulator of trying to get a victory, and if somebody was out of it, he'd try and put them back in with the spinners, bowl the spinners, and that sort of thing. Derek Murray, stroke Humpage, I suppose. It's a big toss-up between those two, because I played quite a bit with Humpage. Humpage's got a really good track record. So it's a bit of a toss-up between those two. I saw the best of Derek Murray. Well, I should think that on track records that probably Humpy would probably win it because of his stats. So Derek would have the edge on maybe wicket keeping, but Humpy was such a good player and could change a game just like John Jameson. So he was a thumper of the ball, and he played. I think Brownie discussed it once that he scored one of the best hundreds you'd ever seen against Middlesex in a Sunday afternoon game. But he scored hundreds in county cricket, and they're both a close call. That one, a really close call. But I get Humpy because I think his track record, he's bound to be slightly better than Derek's because he played longer for Warwickshire. So a true bear. So we'll give Humpy the edge on that one. I'm not saying Derek wasn't a true bear because Derek was a wonderful character, and you see the best of him for West Indies as well. Some of those throws from Keith Boyce that he had to pick up on the half volley sometimes, and how he didn't break more fingers and things, I don't know. Tom Cartwright, wonderful seam bowler. He used to swing it a lot. He used to bowl big in swingers and then the odd straight honour. And but he suddenly discovered that by hitting the seam with his action, just a great wrist action like Richard Hadley, and by hitting the seam he could move it either way, and it would all happen last minute as after it hit the wicket. Whereas with the swing, you can see it happening a little bit earlier. But he was mean. He didn't give anything away. His third man and fine leg were always up to save the one. He bowled so straight, at always hitting the deck and doing a bit, and he got bounce off the wicket because of his wrist action. Made it bounce. He's got a great record. How many wickets did he get for Warwickshire? 1,500 or something. Yeah, he was. Colin Cowdery reckoned he could pick him. I stood at slip a few times, and AC was kept to him. AC Smith kept to him quite a bit. I'm not. AC would say that maybe sometimes he picked him, but Colin Cowdery reckoned he could pick him one match. I don't think that I ever picked him. When his ball hits the seam, just depends which way the seam's canted when it comes out of those fingers, really, doesn't it? And you can see the seam upright, but which way it was going to go after it hit the deck, I don't know. But Kipper reckoned he could, and he played him really, really well. And that innings, I think, was at Gravesend. But he was a great bowler. Obviously, more in English conditions, and he didn't have the pace to play on, have success necessarily on in other countries. But certainly he was mean, like Derek Underwood. They hated to give away a run and keep people under wraps, keep control, and the batsman, would make a mistake. But Gary Sobers played Tom really, really well. I stood at slip to when Gary came in, and Tom was just bowling magnificently. One of the best spells I ever saw in bowl was at Trent Bridge, and it was doing it, and it had got bounce and pace, and everybody was looking. I mean, I think Derek Murray was playing for Notts before he came to us, and Derek couldn't lay a bat on him. And then Gary came down, left it, played it, left it, played it. Never missed one. I said to Tommy, "Has it stopped doing it?" I was just slipping. He said, "No, just wait for Derek." Wait, Derek Murray came down again. He couldn't lay a bat on it. It was the ball was dancing. It was just, and Gary, I could not believe it. Just played it so late and left it, and it was just during that sort of half an hour session, a bit more. It was just great. One great bowler playing against probably one of the greatest all-rounder ever. I mean, it was just fantastic to be part of. DJ Brownie, great trier. He gave it his all every time he bowled, and he's got a really good record. I think 12 or 1300 wickets for Warwickshire. So, and he swung it sometimes when conditions were right, but mainly hit the seam. But just a great performer, and he went on to play Test matches, as you know, and he did well at Test match cricket. So he had pace. He wasn't the fastest, but he could hit the deck hard. But he always gave 100%, and he always played the sweep shot. He always saw MJK playing the sweep, and he always thought he could sweep as well. But he got out more times than a success. But great trier, and obviously, he captained Warwickshire. He was the manager of Warwickshire, and I thought that his career finished rather abruptly, which he didn't quite deserve. But then let's get on to a negative note. Brownie was such a great bloke, team man, and out. You'd want him in the side just for being who he was, which was a great bloke. Let alone what he brought to you with his bowling, and he had a wonderful career with Warwickshire, and I just top man. Gladstone Small, Stoney, yeah. I mean, he was a top bowler, got pace, and got great success with Warwickshire. I always remember when Viv got that 300 against us at Taunton, and I was at slip, and Brownie was keeping wicket. I think in the first few minutes we sent for another keeper. Jeff was injured, and we were playing away. We sent for Jeff Tedston, and Jeff took a bit of time to get there. Obviously, just been at the last minute, and Brownie kept wicket. Gladstone kept. If he didn't get it right, he'd have this thing about sliding down the leg side, and I can remember Brownie trying to stop the ball all the time, and it swung. As he pushed it down the leg side. It swung. He was covered in green, dive. I could not stop laughing. And he was the manager. He had to kick wicket, but it was so fun. But anyway, I think Viv was something like 70 or 80 not out at lunch, and the first ball after lunch, Glad came up for a loosener, and his wrist. He had a great wrist action, and he made it bounce, and nothing had bounced all match, and Viv got caught half and half. He just missed his glove, and he went on to score 300. Yeah, fine margins, but Glad was a great performer, and he was with England as well. Top team man, one of the best blokes like DJ Brown, that top men, and Glad was a great performer, and I mean, at the end of my career, my last season, I can remember him at Portsmouth, and he was bowling so well, and I dropped one. I used to stand pretty fine at first slip with Humpy in those days. I dropped one, and then another one came. Oh dear me, yeah. And I always remember Lloyd. He said, "Get that old bugger out of there." He said, "I'll go to slip. I'll catch everything." As Lloyd would, and he stood there. Nothing came his way, and then Giffy decided to bowl because we dropped 2 catches. We couldn't get the openers out, and he had a left-hander. And the left-hander, what was his name? That lad who used to bowl a bit as well. And he slashed one. And Lloydie used to stand there with his hands on his knees, and he'd hit him before his hands didn't come off his knees, and he hit him straight in the face on his. He's got down backwards, and his hands are still on his knees with blood pouring out and everything, and we're all having a bit of a snicker, and they're all the lads are coming. Oh, great try, Lloydie! What a great effort, Lloydie! His hands are still on his knees, but Giffy came out with a great line. He said, "Hey, Lloydie," he said, "at least Den gets a hand on him." Yeah. Imagine what the banter up from Lloydie. There's a few excuses that came out from Lloydie after that. He doesn't like me telling that against him, so I have to be careful. But and he was a top player, Lloydie, so a left-hander. So he comes close in this side, and of course Alan Donald would do as well. But although he did play for a few years, I think that I'm going to go with these guys who play. Bob Willis. I mean, in my book that's coming out, I haven't got it in my county side because he didn't enjoy county cricket, and I think that was because he was playing for England, and it took a lot out of him. And so, and now there are central contracts and everything, so I didn't put him in. But I think, Bob, that if there wasn't a Test match to be played, or he hadn't played one, I mean, you'd have to have him in your side, wouldn't you, with 326 Test match wickets and things like that. I got him in my Warwickshire one day side, but in my book. But I do say why the reasons I don't put him in my side, because he found it very difficult to have the energy after giving everything for Test match or going to play, and Snowy had the same problems, and that's probably why I didn't put him in the side all the time in county cricket. But you'd have to put Bob in, and he got everything. Yeah, and sometimes he'd bowl off a short run because he hadn't got the energy. And I always remember on a wicket down at wasn't Gravesend, where was it? It was one at Maidstone, I think it was. The wicket had crumbled, and Tavares and Bob just hadn't got the energy to come in and clean him up and clean the others up, and we finished with a draw. When you think, he looked at the wicket, the way it's behaving, potholes in it and everything, Bob just couldn't do it. And I sat in the car going home with him and Brownie was driving us, and I think Bob was captain, Brownie was manager. He said he'd really struggled with energy and he just couldn't give it. Well, I faced him in pre-matches, and he'd run in enough, and he got me out once. I nicked one to the keeper, and he was awkward because he used to slant it in at you and just hold it up and hit the deck hard. And he came in at Lord's one, a Test match. I was at slip and Notty, and he just came in from the not the pavilion end, the far end. And my God, he was Notty was taking the ball. He was hitting. He was bowling so quick. And Notty said, "I think we better go." I said, "I've gone already," and we were 5 yards back. I wouldn't have. And Derek Murray was there, and he was trying to stay this side of the ball, leg side of the ball, and do that. And I thought, if he nicks one of those, we never get, won't get a hand on it. So we went back about 5 yards, and that was some of the quickest bowling I saw Bob bowl. He was smacking into Notty's gloves. Lance Gibbs. I mean, Lance was. He didn't like bowling around the wicket, and we had uncovered wickets one year, and he had to bowl around the wicket, and he probably improved as the season went on. But 300 Test wickets and helped us to win the championship 72, as did most of that side there. Helped us to win the championship 1971. We tied with Surrey. They won one more match. We tied on points. Surrey won one more match, and that was the rules of the competition, that if you did tie on points, the one winning the most matches. And Surrey were given the following year, 1972, we won the county championship, and all those players. Don't know whether Tom was still around then, but most of those players, probably apart from Tom, Don't know about whether Gladstone, wasn't he playing 72? Brownie, not quite sure. Yeah, great. Yeah, he always saw the funny side of things, and a good man to have in your dressing room. Yeah, always having a laugh and a joke, and just taking the sting out of things a little bit, and getting people relaxed. But he was such a good bowler, and he got bounce, of course, as well as turn. He got bounce. He put a lot of revs on the ball. Great action, great wrist action, long fingers. And as I say, that not just the amount of turn, but just made it bounce. Yeah. Pleasure, Brian. Enjoyed it.